Hey, all, one last video, especially for the seniors, and what better way to end the year than how we began it, just the same way. I put together a document called AP Calculus Exam Tips COVID. All right, it's at the top of the AP review material folder out there. I'll probably email this to you as well, but you can look for it there. I tried to think as many things as I could. I'm never going to be able to think of everything. One of the biggest goals of education is to help you guys think for yourself and give you the confidence to be lifelong learners and give you the confidence to realize that you're smarter than you give yourself credit for. But let me run through what I've got out here. The exam time, it is tomorrow, 2 p.m. Everybody takes it at the same time. Where should you take it? Find a quiet place in your room, in your house, so you've got plenty of room to work. A nice table or whatever. You should have good Wi-Fi there. You should have room to spread out. Put your notes down below. I'm going to tell you kind of what to have. Somewhere you're not going to be interrupted. Don't make the mistake of this kid. Bree had sent me this one, and I kind of love this. They'd taken his exam during COVID-19. So whatever. Okay. What do you need? Have a pencil, obviously, and a calculator. I don't think I should have to say that, but funny, sometimes we do need to say that. Have that exam day checklist filled in so that you're all ready to go, so there's no surprises. You've got everything. Have blank sheets of paper. I suggest copy paper versus lined paper. The woman and man who ran those prep courses, they recommend the same sort of thing. Pre-fill them out with your AP ID and initials at the top of the page. You can even number the pages, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, and then label another one 1, 2, 3, 4. You're not going to need more than 4 pages to do the solution. So take that stress. You want to get as much stress off the table as you can. Okay. There's a folder in our AP course. Okay. Right here, folder of stuff for exam day. And there's a bunch of stuff in here. Probably more than you really need to have out during the exam day. But some things I think would be good to have printed out and laying somewhere that you can find them very quickly if you need to. Derivatives I know how to take. And in here, some of the things that are shown are the product rule and the quotient rule, as well as the chain rule. So it's good to have them out in front of you so you know what they look like. It's also every possible derivative that we learned this year is here that you should know how to do off the top of your head, but here you can see them in front of you. Usually you don't see trig derivatives on the test, but who knows what's going to happen this year. Usually you don't see the inverse, derivative of the inverse in the free response, but who knows. Okay, so it's good to have that out in front of you. The derivative and integral formulas. Okay, there's a page of all the derivative and integral formulas that we learned this year. So that'll be good to see in front of you, especially so you remember the special case of the power rule when you have u to the minus 1 or 1 over u. That integral is the natural log of u. So it's good to know those special cases in front of you. What else? I put together a series of documents on problems that tend to come up in free response, the tangent line approximation, separation of variables, MVT and IVT problems. So they're each about 4 to 5 pages long. They show every one of those type of problems that have occurred on the AP test back to 2012. You probably don't need all of the pages. I'm suggesting maybe the first 2 to just so you have in front of you. Oh, that's what a separation of variable problem looks like. Oh, and that's what they expect to see in the solution. And that's how many points they get for each thing. Like the part where you got to do the algebra to get y by itself at the very end takes a lot of work, but it's only worth 1 point. So it's good to know that if you get in a time crunch. So I would suggest having a couple pages of these nearby. So when you're reading, it's like, oh God, look at those words. They're just like, boom, the MVT and IVT problem. So it just to help you. Then we suggested guidelines on graphing using derivatives. I put that out there, as well as our filled-in notes. So guidelines to graphing using derivatives, I think, is a pretty helpful thing because these problems tend to come up as well, as you've seen over the last few days. For instance, it tells you, how can you figure out where you're increasing or decreasing or where max and mins happen. If you've got the first derivative, this is how you do it. Okay. concavity and points of inflection, how do you find them if you've got the second derivative or whatever? So that's there, as well as the filled in notes from that day this year. So it might be worth having that guidelines to graphing. It's only a single sheet printed out for you, and maybe the applicable pages from this year's notes. I didn't try to trim them down, but this was homework from the day before. A couple of days homework, so you don't need them, obviously. But then we eventually got down to me posting the wrong thing. So I'll fix that, and then you can print the right thing out that shows these notes actually being used. Okay, so I'll fix that. Good thing I clicked on that, huh? What else? And the last thing, guys, I put, let's check, I messed that one up. The related rates note. Somebody in this morning's call wanted to see related rates. So I put, hopefully, let's see, did I do it? So day before homework, but guys, these are the related rates notes filled out for the day that we did them. So kind of what things you should think about when you're doing a related rates problem. What does a related rates problem look like? Okay, so that's the type of stuff that would be helpful to have out in front of you during the test, so you can kind of scramble around and find it. Okay, your last minute studying now. Okay, there's the If You See Think review document out there. It's a pretty long document. It's pretty decent. It was from a course that I had taken quite a few years ago. It helps you kind of understand some of the language they use. I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time on it, but maybe when you're eating dinner tonight, when it's your turn to tell a story, you can just read some things from it. So it's kind of like the type of words you might see in an AP question, and then what it means you should be doing. Okay, so that's somewhat useful. What else? We've done every applicable, and I showed this to the people that were dialed in this morning. If I go to, not this document, who keeps having the wrong document open? Okay, if you go to this document I sent you guys before, I've analyzed every free response question back through 2012. The red ones are ones where you need a calculator that you don't need to use this year, so those problems won't show up. The yellow ones are topics they took out. If I take them away, every free response question, except for some of the calculator ones, these ones that say 1, 2, we've done in a class. Either I went through them for you or you did them as part of the homework. Okay, so it'd be worthwhile walking through the solutions for that. You can find all of the solutions to every past free response question here. If you click on free response questions, it'll bring up the question itself. If you click up scoring guidelines, it'll bring up what AP is expecting for each question. It's probably be worthwhile scrolling through as many of them as you can tonight. You've done a lot of them over the last couple of weeks for those that did them, so they should be kind of fresh in your mind. For some reason, 2019 is in a different spot. It'll take you to this page, AP Calculus, the exam, and if you scroll down, the 2019's there. So, if you're going to do last minute studying, it's worthwhile scrolling through them and reading through them. Something I didn't make up a specific document for, but it's come up in the last couple of days. Make sure you're comfortable finding integrals using area under the curve, and I point to a couple FRQ problems that are key to look at. So if you can't look at every FRQ problem tonight, it might be worthwhile walking through these recent ones we did to help you out. General tips. Think before you start to work on a problem. I've been emphasizing that all year. When we were practicing FRQs before we knew that AP test was just going to be FRQs, I had you guys do that exercise where you would read the problem and tell me how you were going to answer it before you tried to start answering. Same sort of thing, okay? Read through the problem, take a deep breath. A lot of times there's pictures, there's a lot of words, there's equations and tables, there's all kinds of garbage designed to freak you out, and real life is the same way. Your boss one day will hit you with a lot of random garbage, and then you have to figure out what they actually are looking for. So please think. You've got sufficient time to do the problem. You should have time to slow down and think before you do something. General good guideline in life, as I was saying this morning. It's always good to think before you do something. Not enough people actually do that. So I give you some guidance here. Please make sure you know what graph it is. I will so be disappointed if you treat an F prime graph like an F graph or an F double prime graph like an F graph. Okay, so make sure you know what they're giving to you. Show your work. Okay, some of you have been really minimalist in your solutions, and I've written notes to you through Schoology about it. Try and show as much as possible. They're interested in how you got the answer, not just the answer to the problem. You might get some points for the work, even if you end up with a wrong answer. Okay, so sometimes they ask you for justification. Okay, if they ask you for justification, you got to give them justification to get the points. So if you give an answer without the supporting work, a lot of times you're not going to get any credit. Okay, so please think, show your work. I mean, it's what I've been emphasizing all year and everything you guys have been doing. Don't round your answers. You need 3 decimal point places. Okay, so give the answer to 3 decimal places. That's what they're looking for. If you're doing work in your calculator, try and keep the previous answer there when you're rolling to the next answer so that you can use it to the most accuracy you've got. Don't freak out. Part A freaks you out, which part A tends to be easy, so hopefully it won't freak you out. But if some of the early parts freak you out, maybe you can do part C, maybe you can do part D. A lot of times they're not related to each other in any way. Okay, so just because you can't get A, don't fold on the entire problem. Look at B. Hey, maybe you could do that. Look at C. Maybe you could do that. If you need an answer from part A to do part B or D, take a reasonable guess at the answer so that you might at least get partial credit for using an incorrect answer correctly in a later part of the problem. Okay, so please don't let the beginning freak you out. If you do use your calculator, and this came up this morning as well, write what you're putting into your calculator. Write the integral that you're doing. Write the derivative that you're taking. Okay, that's usually advice we give for the calculator portion of the FRQ. But this year, since you've got a calculator, don't get over reliant on it. I know there's Math 9. I know there's Math 8 that automatically will do derivatives and integrals for you. But show what you're doing. Don't just give the answer. You won't get credit. An answer without an equation might not get full credit, even if it's correct. Don't waste time erasing bad solutions. Okay, it's time you can't afford. Just cross it out and move on. They're not going to grade crossed out work, but at least you're not going to waste time. Please make sure you answered the problem. Another good guideline in life. If your boss asks you for something, make sure that you actually give your boss what they asked for. Okay, that's what they're looking for. If they say give justification, give justification. If they say expressing, give units, give units. And if they do ask for justification, that's usually a key that they're looking for a theorem. It's usually a key that they're looking for the MVT or IVT or something like that. But sometimes it's a hint. If they ask for justification, sometimes it'll lead you to what they're actually looking for. So remember, here at the end, let me move me. Getting 50% correct will get you a 3 on the exam. You only have to get half of this right, and you're going to get a 3. A 65% is usually all that's required for a 5. So I hate to say relax, you got this, because it's kind of dismissive at times, but who can resist a really cute cat name? Relax, you got this. I am serious when I say you guys are the best and brightest. Really, the future of our civilization depends on you guys. But at the same time, tomorrow is a single test in your life. If you mess up on this single test, it is not the end of the road for you. Okay. No single test can fully evaluate you. So going in knowing that the stakes aren't life and death, hopefully that'll calm you down. Do your best. You know more than you give yourself credit for. You can do more than you think you can. So take a deep breath, relax, get a good sleep, and tell me how great it went. All right, I'm going to try and stop this video. It is always an adventure to try and stop the video. I will try and do it. Good luck. We'll do another Google Meet tomorrow from 9 to 10, and I'll be there tonight from 8:30 to 9 if you've got more questions. I really do think you guys can do great, especially if you relax. Please don't freak out. Please don't freak out. This isn't the time to freak out. That comes in a couple of months. All right, talk to you later.